across the region to show how phone-free classrooms work.
Building unity after unrest, the initiative in Middlesbrough to challenge hate and prevent a repeat of the 2024 riots.
Sunderland's Josh Kelly gears up for the fight of his life tomorrow night in pursuit of a world title.
We are live at celebrations to mark a century of chips, cod and community at South Shields Institution, Coleman's. First to the Northumberland school that's leading the way in making classrooms phone-free.
As concerns grow about smartphone addiction among young people, and with some calling for an outright ban, Prudhoe Community School is already putting devices on lockdown until the end of the day.
Well, today, leaders from 15 other schools across the North East visited Prudhoe to find out how the scheme works and to witness firsthand how the students are coping. Katie Cole reports.
Every morning, students at Prudhoe High School unlock their mobile phone pouches and put their turned-off devices inside. Teaching staff check they're fully locked, and they'll stay that way until the end of the day, including break and lunch times.
I think everyone's a bit more social. Like, people speak more at lunch, and you're getting a deeper conversations now, which I think is another good thing.
The £17 pouches were given to Year 11 students in September.
It causes a lot less stress with teachers and in lessons because there was a lot of arguments of people trying to take phones off people. It makes each lesson flow and there's no interruptions, so you learn a lot more.
My grade has shot up. Actually not using my phone call, I kept on getting messages constantly. My phone was buzzing, so I was checking it.
There's definitely less distractions and I feel like it's more calm in lessons.
Today, school leaders from across the region, who this week were told by the Education Secretary that schools should be phone-free environments, came to hear about the pouches, and the message was clear.
Do it because the outcomes of it are really positive for students' well-being, for their distractions for learning, and also for staff as well. So staff's relationships with students have really improved because you're taking away that conflict about mobile phones with them.
But there are schools that don't agree and say mobile phones do have a place in the classroom. We know of one school on Tyne side that has said they won't be implementing a ban, that schools need mobile phones in the classroom to help children with timetables, with learning. Don't schools need them?
I would have said, if you'd asked me a couple of years ago, yes, and we did do that. So we did have students taking photographs of homework and images, but having not had that for a term, I would say, no, it's not necessary. I can see the benefit of it, but actually our social responsibility and our moral responsibility here is to look after our children's well-being during the day. And if that means you remove a mobile device and access to that, then I think it's something that we have to do.
And when it comes to smartphones and young people, some believe schools can go further and encourage parents not to buy them for under 14s.
There is going to be reservations, but I think if we talk to them and explain about the sort of dangers and how their brains are just not really developed to cope with the addiction and all the things that they're seeing on there, I think they will start to learn and understand. And actually, older children, sort of teenagers and young adults, are actually telling us that they wish they hadn't had smartphones and that they wouldn't give them to their children. So I think that's quite compelling evidence, really.
In Prudhoe, the end of the school day sees students get their phones back. While these pouches may not be something all schools agree with, students and staff here say it's making a positive difference. Katie Cole, ITV News, Prudhoe.
Next tonight, it's almost 18 months since a violent mob brought chaos and fear to the streets of Middlesbrough as a wave of anti-immigration protests swept the UK.
Well, now an initiative has started aimed at rooting out racism and ensuring that the riots of 2024 are never repeated.
It sees teachers, youth workers and other organisations taking part in government-funded workshops on how to challenge hate and discrimination. Our reporter Chris Jepson has been given exclusive access to see it in action.
When riots spread to the northeast, criminality broke out in Hartlepool, Sunderland and Middlesbrough. And And a distinctive feature of the Middlesbrough unrest was how many children and youngsters ransacked the streets.
It's in a town where all the not white people live.
If you're proud to be British, put your hand up.
Nearly 18 months on, teachers and youth workers in the town are getting to grips with how to counter the racist and divisive narratives that led to the riot.
What we're trying to address with the teachers is, how does someone get to that point of committing an act of hate? How do they get drawn into wanting to riot on the streets? Where are those ideologies coming from, and what tools can we give them and support can we give them to take on the challenge that is for all of us a really serious and concerning one?
Amjad Kazir is delivering the sessions in partnership with the council as part of the We Are Middlesbrough post-riot recovery.
You know, some people will have questions which are difficult to answer, and sometimes we feel that teachers do find that challenging. So we want them to feel more confident, so when they go into schools with these resources, using the films that we provide and the toolkits that we provide, that they can have these conversations about identity, belonging and diversity.
A key theme is safeguarding children who may be vulnerable to radicalisation by education rather than reprimand.
I moved to the North East back in 2014, living in Newcastle with my partner. We're in a mixed race relationship and sadly experienced a lot of racist antisocial behaviour. A lot of the early instigators of that were children who started very small, kicking in a little wall outside our house. It escalated very quickly to dog feces, to eggs being thrown at our house, and even burning down the for sale sign outside our home as well. If you think about the bigger picture, who is behind those young people and the actions they've taken, that radicalisation, so we can intervene and support, but do so in a really supportive way. We don't want to alienate people. There's only so much that can be gained from putting a child in isolation in response to a particular comment they can made. We're thinking of grassroots, how can we address this? And if we can, build cultures within our resources that can help stop these things from happening in the first place.
By giving youth workers the tools to address controversial subjects, it's already opening the eyes of the town's young people.
Some of our young people that we actually worked with would have been involved in some of those conversations that were happening and probably would have went to the riots themselves. The why is a huge question that our young people have been asking, so to be able to give them that space to be able to do that in a safe manner, it was giving them a challenge to actually see what is racism, what is anti-Semitism, how can we bring that to what is diversity even, but then seeing the difference that they're all different, they're all unique, and celebrating that through the spaces has been huge for our young people.
Let's talk to our children, to our neighbors' children, to our friends or fellows or colleagues. Let's do better in our community. If we do not actually do anything, nothing will change.
Change is synonymous with Middlesbrough's history, so to prevent further division and future riots, promoting social cohesion and celebrating the town's rich cultural heritage is seen as a no-brainer.
Well, this is where much of the damage that day in August 24 was done, by the rioters targeting council buildings, the courts and also university buildings in the area. Now, here in Middlesbrough, they received from the government £665,000 in recovery funding, and more than half of that funding went to community projects, with the rest going directly to youth groups, all with the aim of trying to prevent the risk of further riots happening, to promote social cohesion and also to restore that trust within the community. Now, one of the main projects was a restorative justice project, which included, among other things, 12 rioters writing letters of apology to their victims, and in one instance, one rioter actually meeting with their victims face to face.
Restorative Justice Cleveland are also playing a major part in some of the work that they're doing. It's a case that actually it's about educating everyone, but also making sure that we try and reach communities that might not have been affected, might not have been involved in it, but equally have seen some of the imagery and feel that that doesn't represent them, doesn't represent their town. And it's about how we reach those people as well. So every single part of the projects that we've done is about making sure we get that spread right across the town, to make sure that every single person gets the opportunity to be more involved in that community.
Now, some of the other funded projects included a jigsaw artwork that was produced by thousands of school children in the town, which championed the rich diversity of those communities here. There was also Eid celebrations held at Middlesbrough Football Club, and dotted around the town are a number of community murals, and there was also a Taste of Africa festival held. Now, all of this was to bring those communities together, get them mixing, but also, crucially, get them engaging via education, inclusion, and also creativity.
Chris Jepson there for us in Middlesbrough. You are watching ITV News Tyne Tees. Still to come on tonight's programme.
Title fight. Sunderland's Josh Kelly prepares for his World Champions showdown.
And come and see why the people of South Shields are heading out tonight to celebrate the centenary of one family business and some fish and chips.
Now, did you have a Saturday job when you were growing up? Perhaps a paper round or sweeping up at hairdressers? Well, apparently fewer teenagers are taking up those types of part-time weekend jobs, which could mean that some young people end up missing out on early work experience.
Well, it's one of the reasons that's being put forward for a rise in the numbers of teenagers, older teenagers, who are not in employment.
The former Darlington MP Alan Milburn's heading a government review into youth unemployment, and he says that if action isn't taken, then it could lead to a lost generation. Kevin Ashford reports.
Oliver Nesbitt from Stockton has a part-time job in this restaurant. He says it gives him a wide range of experience.
I'm involved with everything from cleaning the floor to cleaning and setting up the tables, taking orders and presenting the food with the rest of the team. I get a good work experience in the environment and just to interact with the customers and all the challenges that can bring.
However, the number of young people taking part-time jobs has been declining, and it's seen as part of a wider trend. In the UK, fewer than 1 in 5 16 to 17-year-olds are working, compared to half of them at the start of the century. There are almost 1 million young people aged 16 to 24 qualifying as NEET, that is, not in education, employment or training.
What are the more, like the values, the company's values? What do they stand for? Do they align with my values?
The education charity that helped fund this IT skills bootcamp says part-time work at a young age can be a big help when looking for jobs in later life.
We know that often for young people, this is the kind of first step into the world of employment. We know that work experience is really crucial for young people, specifically, again, from disadvantaged backgrounds or, for example, from ethnic minority backgrounds. And so having that first step onto the employment ladder is really important, and with fewer kind of young people doing part-time jobs or Saturday jobs, we know that's kind of a door that's being closed for them.
The former Darlington MP and Health Minister Alan Milburn is leading a government review into the number of young people who aren't economically active. He says it's a problem that can't be ignored.
We've got a huge problem in our country now of a potential lost generation. 1 in 8 young people who are not in education, employment and training. If they formed a city, that would be the 3rd biggest city in the country. And what we can't afford as a country is simply to write these people off. You know, if we write off that generation of young people, we're writing off our own country's future. We can't afford economically, socially, fiscally to have a lost generation.
Young people will be among those consulted for the review, which will publish an interim report in the spring. Kevin Ashford, ITV News.
Well, earlier, Kevin spoke to the Work and Pension Secretary, Pat McFadden, at a careers fair targeting young workers.
We are coming forward with a youth guarantee to try to help more young people get training or work. We're changing the apprenticeship system, but we also want to go further, which is why I've asked Alan Milburn to do this report for me into the whole issue of young people, inactivity and work. The last thing we want is young people graduating from education onto a life on benefits. Work is good for you, and we want to create the opportunity for work for as many young people as possible.
Do you think enough is being done to help employers, though, because they're facing rising costs, increases in minimum wage, not exactly encourage them to employ young people?
Well, for an employer, any employer who employs somebody under the age of 21 doesn't have to pay employers' national insurance. There's a tax break in the system for employers, and I think our youth guarantee is a good opportunity for employers, because through that, we will actually pay the costs of the training. And ultimately, for the long-term youth unemployed, we will subsidise the job through paying 25 hours a week at national minimum wage rates. So this is a great way for employers to give young people a chance.
Do you have targets for getting more young people back into work?
Well, we've got almost 1 million not in work at the moment, not in education or training. The Youth Guarantee will provide training opportunities for about 300,000 of those. So we want to get that figure down, get more young people into work.
McFadden there speaking to us earlier.
The ITV Evening News continues after us tonight at 6:30 with Charlene.
Coming up, a man's jailed for life for the premeditated murder of hotel worker Rhiannon White. The Prime Minister's progress in China. Beijing agrees to lift sanctions on British MPs and peers. And remembering Dame Ginny Cooper, the Queen joins celebrities for a special memorial for the late author. So do join us for those stories and more from 6:30.
As we turn to sport next, the world of horse racing this week has been mourning the loss of an influential figure from the northeast. Lord Zetland, Lawrence Mark Dundas, was a former chairman of Redcar Racecourse, where he continued his family legacy. He died at home in North Yorkshire at the weekend, aged 88. Lord Zetland took the reins at Redcar in the early 1980s, taking over from his father, and guided its progress for nearly 40 years. Well, the Zetland Gold Cup is one of Redcar's flagship horse races, and famous sporting silverware is where Simon starts tonight's roundup.
Powering local sport in the community, Octopus Energy sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
So Newcastle United will be racking up those air miles, Simon, for the Champions League playoff, which is next month.
Yeah, this morning's draw paired them with Karabag from Azerbaijan. That's a 5,000-mile round trip and a 4-hour time difference. The away leg is first. Karabag playing Baku, which is the capital of Azerbaijan. It's a fascinating draw, a trip into the unknown and a tie Newcastle should win. But it's also next month's business. In the here and now, the Magpies face a quick turnaround after this week's Champions League trip to France. But Eddie Howe hopes their brave draw with reigning European champions Paris Saint-Germain will inspire them in tomorrow's Premier League trip to Liverpool.
That's a high elite game that we had on Wednesday. I mean, you could feel that from very early in the game, how good Paris were, and then how good we had to be to stay with them in that game. So I think we've proved that we can play away from home. There should be no fear in that from us, but the consistency, week in, week out, that's where we've got to get to.
More football in a second, but let's talk boxing. Tomorrow night, Sunderland's Josh Kelly will attempt to join a small and exclusive list of North East World Boxing Champions. His nickname is Pretty Boy. He's not keen on it. It was given to him by his fellow boxers on the Team GB squad when he was an amateur. But tomorrow night, Josh Kelly aims to prove once and for all he's not just a pretty face. As you can see, confidence isn't a problem. But this guy might be a problem. Bakram Murtazaliev, Josh's opponent, is the defending IBF Super Welterweight champion. The 33-year-old from Chechnya is unbeaten and quite scary. But the Utility Arena in Newcastle will give Josh the backing of a home crowd, even though you won't find a bigger Sunderland fan, and Josh believes this is his time.
I've seen it, and I've felt it, and I've envisioned it, and I've prayed for it, and when it actually happens, it'll be like I feel like people see me, you're boxing with world title, so I know that I'm already mentally and physically ready.
He always had the ability to be at this level, and he now has the opportunity to prove, not just to everyone, but to himself, that he is what he always thought he would be.
He's going to walk in his shots he doesn't like, and I think he'll end up on his back, personally.
Sunderland especially hasn't had a world champion, and the North East hasn't had a lot.
Like, I'm itching now, I'm really itching to get an inside it.
The North East World Champion Club is high on quality but short on numbers. Hartlepool's Savannah Marshall, Darlington's Stuart Hall and County Durham's legendary Glenn McCrory. On Saturday night, Sunderland's Josh Kelly wants to join that club. The Newcastle Eagles are serious underdogs in Sunday's Super League Basketball Trophy final against London Lions. But the Eagles do know how to win trophies. Newcastle won this trophy last year. It was their 28th major title. They are by far the most successful club in British basketball history. But they're not having a good year, and they've lost to the London Lions all 4 times they've played them so far this season. So, can the Eagles' winning DNA actually help?
Our club is a winning club. There's a lot of people who are obviously still connected to that, but the majority of those people are not the current men's basketball team. So it's always trying to challenge them on history and heritage, and educate them. And there's a lot of guys in the group that really buy into that, and there's some guys in the group that are probably more focused on trying to create their own.
Back to football. Middlesbrough boss Kim Hellberg thinks it's all been good since he arrived, even when the results weren't so good. Borough won 4 in a row when the Swedish first coach first arrived. Then they went 4 without a win. Now they're on another 4-game winning streak. But as the second-place Teessiders prepare for Norwich tomorrow, Hellberg says performances have been consistently good.
I think the most impressive thing is to go and win 4, then have a tough display of games who don't get the result they maybe think that you deserve, but I think we find the rhythm again. Yeah, it's very impressive from the players to be able to come back from that spell and then go on and win 4 games in a row. I think we deserve the point we have.
You can see all the EFL highlights on ITV4 at 9 o'clock tomorrow night, and also on ITV1 at midnight. Sunderland aren't back in Premier League action until Monday night's game against Burnley, but the extra couple of days won't be enough time for Black Cats captain Granit Xhaka to recover from the ankle injury that kept him out of last weekend's defeat at West Ham.
He's doing well. He'll have another assessment in around 1 week, so from that point we'll see where he is to define the next stage of his rehabilitation. So it should take probably 3 more weeks.
Simon, thank you very much indeed. He's off home for his Friday tea. It is Friday night. You might be settling down yourself to eat a nice chippy tea, perhaps. And one place known for frying up some of the best fish and chips around is celebrating a big milestone.
Yeah, Coleman's Fish and Chips in South Shields is turning 100 years old, and a new film's been made to track the family's journey from their early days to becoming one of the town's most beloved institutions. And Amy Sutton is at the Customs House ahead of the celebration event for us tonight, Amy.
Yes, from one South Shields institution to another, and rightfully so here at this venue at the Customs House. Very shortly, more than 360 people will be filling these seats. Patrons, friends, family, and no doubt some beloved customers of Coleman's. And that's because Out and About with the Colemans, the film will be screened here, which will look all the way back at the family's legacy, including that very first shop which opened on Ocean Road. But no spoilers. We have Richard Jr. here joining me now. How do you feel that your family is film worthy?
I'm humbled to see how many people have come out and want to see our journey. It makes me really, really proud to see.
And this film, it looks back, it traces your roots right back to Italy, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. It's an incredible story. Actually, I learned a lot from actually going out with the local heroes guys. But it's also incredible to see how much is celebrated back in Italy. The immigration from who moved to the UK and come back every year was just incredible to see.
And I'm sure you're excited for tonight.
Yeah, I can't wait. Nervous, but excited.
So from Tuscany to Tyneside, tonight is going to be a celebration. So we only have the man himself, Richard Sr. here as well. Now, Richard, this has been quite a month for your family. You were recently awarded the Freedom of South Shields, and then now tonight, how does this feel?
Absolutely fabulous, absolutely. But it's been tremendous. It's been a wonderful, year up to now, and last year, it's been fantastic.
And no doubt business has been booming for 100 years, but you must be looking forward to those lighter nights, warmer days coming in, and you might get a few more knocks at the windows and waves after tonight.
Absolutely. We're on the seaside, as everybody knows, and we love that lovely weather and people walking along the front with fish and chips, and I'm sure this year will be something exceptional, and I hope they come down to see us, and we hope to see them all, and they'll be most welcome.
Wonderful. Thank you to both Richards. Now, as I said, tonight is a night of celebration. The screening will take place here, and then a live recording of the Local Heroes podcast and a bit of Q&A with the family as well. Now, what's that saying that today's news will be tomorrow's fish and chips paper? Well, this story, I'm sure this legacy, that'll live on.
It really will. It's a great name, and they've been flying the flag for our region for many years, celebrating their centenary. Amy, thank you very much indeed. Enjoy the film, everybody who's going along tonight, won't you?
Yeah, fantastic night of celebration for Coleman's. Congratulations on big anniversary. Amy mentioned there about looking ahead to warmer, sunnier days, but you can have fish and chips in any weather, but it does taste better with the sunshine. Let's see if there's going to be any. Nick Filler has this weekend's forecast.
Wet by the coast, with a high chance of sun and splashing. TUI sponsors ITV Tyne weather.
Hello, it's been a wet and cold day today, very windy still along the coast with the wind chill. At least the snowdrops are doing their best to weather the conditions. There isn't going to be a huge improvement this weekend. I think it'll feel a little less cold. This is what went through at the start of the day, a smattering of snow into the tops of the hills. Since then, it has just been that cold rain that's been falling, and another area of wet weather moving in towards the southwest of the UK. Now, some of this rain is quite heavy from this area of low pressure. It's going to shunt its way northwards, but weaken as it does so, but still bring for us, for tomorrow, cloud and outbreaks of rain. There may just be a few hints of brightness around on Sunday ahead of this weather front moving in well to the west of us. So this is how things are going to play out through this evening and tonight. Notice the low cloud, there's plenty of hill fog, poor visibility, and then overnight further outbreaks of rain after a bit of a lull are going to feed their way in. There's still a brisk and cold wind along the coast, temperatures elsewhere dropping not too far from where we've been during the day. And a cloudy start to our weekend, so we are going to see some occasional patchy rain, maybe a bit of brightness towards parts of North Yorkshire, but I think most of us staying cloudy. Temperatures, though, will be a little bit higher tomorrow, and that brisk wind along the coast will begin to ease just a touch. And then on into the start of a new month, the weather front approaching from the west will not get here during daylight hours. Ahead of it, there may be one or two showers, but hints there could also be a few cloud breaks around on Sunday. There may actually be a few glimmers of sunshine, but in the week ahead, just expect more cloud, outbreaks of rain, and with a stronger wind once again, it's likely to feel colder once again.
TUI sponsors ITV Tyne weather.
Thanks very much, Nick. Or when I say thanks,
The weather's so rubbish, isn't it?
It's grim, isn't it?
No, I was blaming Ross, but he's not here.
No.
So I blame him and Nick. Not great.
Enjoy your weekend, though, whatever the weather. In just a moment, it's the national and international news.
Yeah, the late news team will be here for you at 10:30 this evening. But have a great weekend. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you on Monday. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.